Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today with the Hispanic Wealth Project. My name is George Carrillo. We're going to let people settle in a little bit, give them about a few seconds here to be able to log on, get their audio working. And today we're going to have just a wonderful conversation. We've got some industry experts in the construction industry with us today. And so we'll just give it here a few seconds and I will be welcoming the panel. So why don't we start off with welcomes. Let's introduce Alex Siebold. Siebold with GSI Builders. Miguel Colvo with Reliance Home Solutions. And Gus Hoyas with Alto FSI. So today we are going to have a conversation. The subject is about building foundations, a comprehensive introduction into construction for aspiring developers and contractors. So let's start off with our first question today. So my first question is to Gus. Gus, you're a very successful business owner in the insurance company industry, and now you have switched over to get into construction as a subcontractor. And so tell us, why did you make the switch from going to insurance now being the head of Alto FSI? And you're muted, Gus.
I said, because I'm crazy, George. I'm crazy. That being said, we saw an opportunity in the industry that I'm in with insurance. You see a lot of, I saw a lot of construction, a lot of work being done. But from a community perspective, we saw a lot of opportunities in general of starting up businesses. And the construction trade is something that's within the Hispanic spirit of mine of entrepreneurship. And I saw an opportunity that presented itself with fire stopping and insulation, as well as fireproofing. And there was a big project in town that kind of illuminated, I should say, a little spaz to say, you know what, let's look into seeing a little bit more about insulation. Was a topic of discussion, that there were no minorities. When I say that, 8 MBEs or Hispanics or female business enterprises that focused in the insulation business. So we created a corporation. We bought ourselves into a company and saw an opportunity to kind of penetrate that market, and we did. And we've been pretty successful at it thus far with a mentor that we currently have, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that. But it was the opportunity at hand. I think there's so many, even though we're going through some crazy times here in the States and actually in the world, there are opportunities out there. There are gems, and I think we were fortunate enough to see that opportunity. My two other partners, also Hispanic, push the effort, and currently today we're doing pretty well. We got about $10 million worth of work that's lined up into 2024. This year we're going to end around a little shy of $4 million and work completed. So it was something out of nowhere, and like I said, it's been going on now. We're going into our 4th year. So that's our success so far.
Well, congratulations on your much success. I know that it's a huge step going from insurance into construction, and you've proven that you can be successful. You're a multi-million-dollar company. So congratulations on all of your success with that. And so leading to my next question is for Miguel. Miguel, what are some of the common, misconceptions of being a contractor?
Hey, George. One of the common misconceptions is that being a contractor means that you have less job security. Or the misconception is that contractors have less financial stability. And one of the other misconception is that the contractors don't have they don't have enough competitive income, and they have less access to benefits. What is true, contractors typically work on a project basis. They often have a steady stream of projects lined up if they manage their business well.
Awesome. I think too, with some of the common misconceptions is that, Latinos aren't the business owners. We have a misrepresentation in that category, but we are business owners. There's 3 million Latinos in the United States that are in construction. We only account for about 8% for being the business owner, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. You've proven through being able to be a very successful realtor, now going into construction and proving that some of those myths are, they're not the reality. I think as a community, we need to see that we can forge ahead and we can be these business owners. And I think,
Absolutely.
also one thing, I never introduced myself. I was too busy
Go ahead,
introducing
George.
everybody else. And so my name is George Carrillo. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the National Hispanic Construction Alliance, where we are forging ahead with being able to provide support for Latinos in the construction industry. And so my next question, thank you so much for your comments, Miguel. My next question is to Alex. Alex, what's the first step for a person that they want to get into being a developer or maybe a general contractor or a subcontractor? What are some of the first steps you think people need to know?
Thank you, George. Nice to see everybody today. Gus, Miguel, hello, my friends. George, thank you so much, and NARUP and NHCA for giving me an opportunity to be here. What it takes for first steps that you would consider if you want to become a developer or a contractor, those are very good questions. That's a very good question. And I think it comes down to, I mentioned this at the panel that we spoke at earlier last month, is what kind of person are you? What are you looking to develop? Are we talking, residential development, or are we in acquisitions? And or are we looking to commercial properties, multifamily, any kind of industrial properties? I think those are the first questions that I have asked myself in developing. And what kind of person am I, and what kind of risks am I willing to take? What kind of working capital am I dealing with? What kind of time is a very valuable thing that we all run short on. And if I'm going to develop a property, am I going to have a business come in, like a property management company, whether it's an apartment complex or multiple homes and rentals? What kind of time am I investing into just the process of maintaining my cash flow and my revenue stream from that investment? So then it comes down to, what kind of person are you, and what are you really looking to develop? But in any instance in real estate, you'd have to look. I would start first, and I've done this, and start with my local municipalities. What kind of licensing, real estate license do you need? Builder's license, if you're going to be building, any kind of local, kind of the local hurdles that you would need in licensing. But then also, in development, there's development fees. There's a backlog of fees that we have in our local municipalities that, we're trying to invest in our communities, but at the same time, we got to go through the process of paying the fees, pay to play, so to speak, locally. And, it's once one sees the avenue past the kind of what your vision is, like if I'm going to build an apartment complex, I'm going to do a local infill, you kind of have to ask yourself, what are the variables that I think I see, and what kind of lanes am I staying in, and how economically feasible is it, and what kind of financing am I looking for? What kind of capital am I looking to go after? Do I have any other assets or any other things that I can use for collaterals? And then there's the whole finance and capital side of things. So it's a collaboration of a lot of things that come together. But then again, I feel that if somebody's going to develop something, and when I do drop into a project that I have ownership in, it's a personal, intimate relationship that I have with that property. And some properties, I have more involvement on day-to-day operations, like in senior housing, or if it's a more passive type investment where I'm dropping into a multifamily type product and having a property real estate company, see the day-to-days, and I kind of have a whole high oversight level. So then again, like I said at the beginning of this question, kind of what kind of person are you, and how much are you willing to take away from your day-to-day job and invest into, an asset that you're trying to generate revenue from, and how much is that really going to take of your time?
So what I'm gathering from this, it's a complicated answer, because I think construction is so vast. There's so many different things that you can do and participate, whether that's being a builder or a contractor. And so I think, as the audience is thinking about your response, I think the main thing we need to focus in on is who is your target audience, and what are going to be your resources that you're going to be able to utilize, because it is a heavy lift. If you're going to be a developer, it is a heavy lift. You do need a team, a small army of people to be able to assist you. You have to know your local municipalities and laws. And so it can be complicated. But as you and your family have been, very successful in this industry for generations, it can be done. But I think here the message is really understand what type of business do you really want to get yourself into, and how much risk are you open to. So thank you for that answer.
Yep. Thank you.
And Gus, kind of piggybacking off of what we were just talking about here with Alex, talk to me a little bit about some creative strategies that you've been able to use in recent years to be able to launch, your company.
Well, piggybacking on Alex, I think it's a good segue into what kind of person are you? I mean, I like what you said there, Alex. It's all about, when you're out here in construction, and especially a startup business, we're still scaling, is creating mentors. And we were fortunate enough to find one of the top insulating companies in the Midwest, and they've been able to take us under their wing, in agreement with a general contractor, Turner Construction. You guys may have heard of them. They're a pretty large construction firm that have basically baptized us in a relationship to grow. The mentor protege program, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. There's, the Department of Transportation, there's SBA. But the one that's been developed by us, or I should say with Turner, has allowed us to kind of clean up a lot of the inefficiencies of, obviously, finance. How do we break into this market within this trade? There's a lot of nuances that you come in. I had no idea about insulation. I had no idea about fireproofing, no idea about fire stopping. I've spent probably, like you said, what kind of a person are you, as Alex says? I mean, you have to, when we went into this business, we really went focused to understand the trade. I mean, I don't know everything as far as estimating all that stuff in detail, but the nuances always comes back to money. How do you fund the project? How do you make sure the estimate's proper? How do you make sure that you got the right people if you're in the union? How you got the best players off the bench to work with you to keep you in a project management schedule, to make sure you're not losing money. There are penalties if you're behind plan and so forth. So for us, Alex, to answer your question, was the mentor protege program that Turner Construction helped establish. I'm probably one of their biggest advocates on this, because our company came out of it. There's a lot of other projects, whether you're looking at Miami, whether you're looking at Chicago, San Diego, a lot of these companies are out there, and they're looking for minority firms or good startup entrepreneurs that have the spirit of running a business. And if you're able to find something that you think you want to do or dream of doing, and I shouldn't say it's a dream anymore, it's something we're accomplishing. When you start seeing, money coming in, and you start seeing, oh my God, we're accomplishing stuff. We owe a lot to our mentor, who's guided us and basically has given us baby steps to get to where we're at today. We don't know it all. We're still learning with them. Their goal is to graduate us in about 2 years. And Turner wants us to continue on with more projects and alike with them on special projects. So if this is something we looked into, this is something that everybody who's watching on here, we've got 46 participants on. I would tell you, it's whether you're a developer or whether you're a general contractor or subcontractor, there are huge opportunities in construction. There really is. And you can make a very decent living. But I honestly feel that our success so far in the last 4 years have been because we've had this mentor protege program with not only Turner, but our mentor, Superior Industrial, that has guided us, corrected us, and so forth. So they've been our big brother, as we would say, padrino, guiding us through the whole process. And again, we're not perfect. We've committed some some financial issues here and there, but at the end of the day, we're getting over that, and we're moving forward. So it's all good.
Thanks, Gus, for that. I think in construction also, and I think this is just in life in general, being a small business owner is difficult. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, sometimes those missteps cost money. But when you have a mentor protege like Turner and others that are providing that guidance, it's less of a blow. You have the opportunity to be able to grow. And as you grow, they see potential in you. And when we talk about Turner Construction, they're a national organization. They have more to lose when they're working with others. And so I'm glad to hear that you had a very good experience there and that they provided a space. So congratulations to Turner Construction for being able to provide a space for you to be able to learn and grow, have learning moments, and for you as a business owner to feel safe and being able to make a mistake and grow from that and now become a multi-million-dollar company. So thank you so much for that answer. My next question goes back to Miguel. So with the cost of goods right now being so high and the cost of labor, how do you maintain to keep your company afloat?
Thanks, George. Contractor companies face the challenge of managing costs, to remain competitive in the market. I would say it's important for us to, first of all, have an efficient project management. They will help us minimize delays, reduce waste, optimize allocation, streamline processes so we don't waste time, money, and effort in people doing the wrong activities. So project management is important. So we need to adopt technology that would allow us save more time as well. We personally invest in our workforce. We train them more. We use sometimes alternative materials to what we usually offer, but still keeping the same quality. We also, I would say most of the companies that I know, they also, when hard times come, the prices goes up. We diversify services too. So if you are only, let's say, for example, you only do roofing, you can now probably diversify and get some siding or windows that can help keep your people busy and also being profitable. But definitely continuous improvement and, as always, bringing value to your customer. You're always going to find when these difficult times come that because of inflation, all the prices goes up, that most of small companies or companies that aren't run properly, they get out of business. And this is an opportunity for companies to join other companies or acquire other companies, and that way improve the profits.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think in this market right now, when we see what's happening with the housing crisis and the cost of inflation and labor shortage, it's really hard. And a lot of people will ask me, what is the solution here? And honestly, my opinion on this subject is we need to build our way out of it. We need to build the homes that we currently need, which we're about 6 million homes behind right now in this country.
Correct.
We need to start looking at regulations that are going to stop tying the hands of progress. And when we do that, then we're going to see the cost of goods to start to come down. We need to be able to support our Latino community as they represent nearly 50% of that workforce. And we need to get more people into the trades and provide that safety and that education that's so much needed in this industry. So that way we can build our way out. We can see that Latinos across this nation are not just building homes for others, but they're building homes for themselves and passing along that generational wealth. So thank you so much, Miguel, for that answer. Alex, I want to send it back to you, and I want to talk about especially in your role, you know, as being the business owner, the president of your organization, what are some avenues for people to take into consideration it when they want to get into being a general contractor or a subcontractor? Where can they find financing? Where can they find work? Do you have any recommendations for the audience?
Yes. So financing, from a business standpoint, I think that there's enough federal dollars out there that support, small business growth and small business startup. Anything with SBA, 7A loan, is probably your best bet in terms of getting in on like the ground level for a business startup. So I would check with your local bank or with your local community credit union and see, what small business loans that they have that are backed by the SBA. I've taken SBA loans. They're great. They come with a kind of a more or less a guideline, like a spelled out path. That if you've never started a business, the loan process and the process in which you take with the SBA kind of spells out your next steps in opening your business. So it's kind of a little roadmap, if you will. And I found that very helpful about 9 years ago when I started a small company, and it was great. I didn't know. I was kind of stepping into stuff that I knew I knew somewhat about, but I didn't know everything about. Like we've all kind of mentioned here, we don't know everything, but we have tenacity. We're Latinas, and we will figure it out, right? But that reaching out and asking for a little assistance, like when you are going to financing and you're going to try to find some money, and an SBA with the bank or a community credit union is a great way to go about that. Like I said, it spells out kind of like a guideline in which you can get to open. So you're actually, providing a service or providing a product to your local market. In terms of the development world and or construction, it's kind of, we all know that in the business world, it's very open-ended. I mean, business is like the wild, wild west. Like if you can draw it up on a contract, you can execute it more or less, as long as all parties are in agreement. I would say that, when we are looking at a project in general, we have a construction loan, right? And that term would last the period of the construction and then some until the property ended up moving into long-term financing, where is meeting the performance, and then the census base, if you had like an apartment complex that was being leased up, so long as it was meeting its performance goals and so on and so forth, then you qualify into permanent long-term financing. There's a lot of public money out there, and up here in the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of funds for affordable housing. So there's some creative ways, and there's that some developers, with the hike in interest rates that have taken place, a lot of people have got cold feet and are on hold about it. But some of those folks are, kind of reinventing how they can think about what are the incentives on maybe, providing a percentage of affordable housing within my market rate apartment complex of 40 or 50 units. What does that look like? Is there any incentives outside of just market rate that I could tweak in my, kind of in my performa? So I think it's a forever changing environment every day. Our economy is always going to change, and there's always going to be new challenges. I think being nimble and being flexible and being able to adapt, right? We are self-motivated, self-driven individuals as a culture, and being able to adapt and figure things out is one of the most important characteristics, a person can have in the building and development industry, I feel.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit here. I'm going to go back to you, Miguel. Why do you believe Latinos are so underrepresented as being developers and business owners?
Thanks, George. This has to do with the questions you asked Alex before. And as he was saying, I would start definitely with limited access to capital. That's something that has been in the past 30, 40 years in our mind, we're trying to find solutions to that. It's getting better though. I would say also networking opportunities, educational resources can play a role as well. And I would also personally say that systemic issues and biases within the industry has contributed to this too.
Perfect. So when we think about, I want to ask you a follow-up question on that. What are some of the biases that you see in the industry?
Latinos are more workers than business owners. That's something that you were mentioning earlier today. And because Latinos don't have the education or the money, they are not basically representing real estate developers, for example, right? I would say that there's something that you guys also with the Hispanic Wealth Project have started this movement, which actually makes me very happy because you guys are trying to change the narrative, and we have all the support, and I think this is possible. So Latinos are going to be able to represent more, and we're going to have also more real estate developers as well.
Awesome, thank you for that. And I think that that's very important, is that we start changing the narrative of Latinos, that bias doesn't play into consideration with our credit worthiness or our ability to be able to manage a project. And these are things that we need to be able to band together and be able to send a new message that this is a new day, a new direction for the Latino community, and that we are going to be able to forge that new path in construction.
Yes to that.
So thank you for that. Gus, I have a question for you. As a subcontractor, what is it that you need to take your business from being a $4 million company now to being a $10 million company? What does that look like for you?
Well, here in the Midwest, we're in Cleveland, Ohio. What it would take us to grow to get to 10 million, again, are just opportunities. I think it's just the fact of being at the table, advocating a little bit more. I mean, that's why I'm real happy about the National Hispanic Contractors Alliance, George, that you're starting up countrywide. We hope we get these chapters up and running. It's very much needed. The biggest thing that we see is the push not only to try to get work, but we're always falling in on these major projects with participation numbers of minorities. That's a big factor. So you get an MBE, you get a MBE, EDGE, female business enterprise, and the like. I think we need to start pushing more for an HBE, a Hispanic business enterprise certification. The reason I say that is everything gets lumped into one. We get lumped into MBEs, we get lumped into DBEs, we get lumped into SBEs, we get lumped into EDGE, we get lumped in everywhere. We're large enough to have our own designation. God forbid, we already have LGBT certifications for construction. That's already out there. There's participation requirements across the country. Shame on us that we haven't been able to create a Hispanic business enterprise. I think by just knowing alone that we are also not only, and I don't want to stress so much on just being a minority firm, but there's so much competition out here. Yet the balls are kind of set, or the cards are kind of set, that if you're an MBE, we'll loop everybody together. And here in the Midwest, not to take away anything away from the African-American community, but they've done a great job of positioning themselves early on the advocacy piece. So what we try to do out here with the Hispanic Contractors Association is also say, you need to diversify your diversity. We like to get a couple brown people in on some of these projects. And some of the big guys in town, they're fine. They got great relationships with their minority partners. So we're trying to push that and trying to be more at the table, basically at the table, not on the menu, as you guys may have heard in the past. So we want to kind of just be in there at all times. So for me to grow to 10 million, it's just getting more opportunities to bid, but also maybe if I want to be a little egotistical, is get my HPE certification and say, hey, don't forget about the Latino. No, there's 15% requirement on this job. Let's go for it, and let's not be scared to talk that way, because it's important. Our population alone just speaks volumes to it. And, the gentleman who brought up on the chat about SBA loans, we got our first SBA loan a couple of years ago, and we had to talk to that SBA coordinator and say, hey, where are your Hispanic numbers this year in this regional office? I'm just curious, just want to ask. We're asking for a $100,000 loan. Well, we don't have too many Hispanics that come through this office. Again, I'm in the Midwest. I'm not in Miami. I'm not in Chicago. I'm not in California and the like. But that got us over the hump. To be honest, we just asked that question. They either said, oh, they got this crazy guy on right now who's going to start questioning, why don't we have, more Hispanic spend? So let's not be scared to speak that. Let's not be scared to, direct it. Where are the Hispanic numbers? African Americans do this all the time. So do the female business enterprise. They're starting to grow in that construction trade. So whether you're a developer, general contractor, or subcontractor, I think it's just the opportunity to get to the table. We'll get to 10 million, George. I'm not worried about that, but I need more of a little bit more of a push and kind of break up a little of the good old boys networks that we run into here in the Midwest.
Thank you, guys. I mean, that's some hard truths in the industry and some of the upward challenges that we face across the nation as Latinos. And so I'm glad that you brought it up. I think that we need to really look into that. I will tell you from my own personal experience in grading solicitations from other municipalities is that, when they look at minority numbers, they don't break it down. They don't really look to see what is the population that they're actually serving. I'll see, general contractors say, we met our goal because, 20% are minorities and the vast majority is in the white women category. And then Latinos and the black, our black members, they are 2%, 0.5%. And so that wealth and distribution isn't hitting our communities, hitting our families. And also what we've learned too is that the mark for actually bringing in Hispanic participation is missing that mark. And I do agree with you that we do need to enterprise that. We should have our own category. If we're 50% of the workforce, then we should have our own category. We are that big in this industry. So thank you for that, and thank you for your comments. My last question is to Alex. Alex, how can we support each other in this world of construction as Latinos?
Just want to say really quick, conversation, guys, Miguel, I mean, George, I think words are being said that words can't resonate enough with me and the passions that I have in serving the community the Latino community. I mean, these are problems that I run into every day and sometimes hourly. So these are hot topics and great conversation on the day. I'm just pumped to be here and excited for, all those watching and the support that we give each other really lies in I feel that in the construction world and in the development world, right, there's, these paths. We talk about NBE, ESB, WBE, so on and so forth. And now we're, talking about an HBE, which I think is, phenomenal. I think that's great. I think it should be that way. But it's how do I sitting in my seat, right, as a general contractor, how do I give opportunity downstream? And my business is set up right where I subcontract, 95% of my work. And part of that is getting involved in the community, the local community, and the trade organizations that support the subcontractors. Where are these subcontractors going to that are looking for work, right? So the NACA, George, the work that we've done with you, it proves that I can reach multiple companies on any given project, and it's getting the word out, it's spreading the word, it's showing up to the trade organization meetings, it's advocating where you can, on a national or local level, it's being involved. And I really feel that in the community, I think in just inherent human nature, word of mouth is huge, and it plays such a big part in, the opportunities that come across my desk and in the business world that I'm in. But I just, I love what I'm hearing today. The mentorship programs, hopefully, yeah, at some point in time, I will be that GC that's big enough that has a mentorship program that can help another Latino company come up. I think it's all of us working together collectively, coming up as one is a huge, and that's just, you got to come up together, or you can't just come up in pieces, because it's a full push effort on everyone's part. And I'm just thrilled to be here. But like I said, the trade organizations, me going out, getting a project, or working with you, George, and having the assistance, in reviewing certain documents that go along in like an RFP process or something like that, gives me a competitive edge, so I can get an opportunity to get those jobs that I can pass along to my trade organizations and local Latino community members. And that's where my puzzle piece fits. So without the support of trade organizations, and without the support personally of you, I've been able to broaden my horizon, broaden my outreach, broaden my overall outlook in general. And I feel that I've been able to reach our Latino community more broadly on a bigger scale than, just local cities, local towns. It's more of like a metropolitan, statewide basis. So I think sticking with the trade organizations, and particularly your work that you've helped me with, George, has really allowed me, to broaden my horizons and broaden, just the overall subcontractor market based in the Pacific Northwest. I've been able to reach more people and have more success, and it has allowed me to give more opportunity to those folks seeking, more or less the American dream. I want to start a business and, generate revenue and generate multi-generational wealth. So just trying to do my part where I can, when I can.
Well, thank you, Alex, for that. And, I want to thank the three panelists that we have here with us today: Gus, Miguel, Alex. All of you are business owners. You're also providing opportunity for many employees. All of this that you're learning and going through of being successful business owners, you're definitely passing it down to your local community. And so many people are prospering from that. I just want to highlight and say congratulations to Alex, because we had worked recently together, and he got a very large $14 million supported housing contract. And that's wonderful news. These are things that we should be celebrating. We should be telling our story. We should.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
How many
If you
hundreds
need
of
some
people?
fire stopping, let me know.
Hey, get on a plane, Gus. We'll talk. I'll buy lunch.
Well, we only have about a quick minute. If there's a question or two, I apologize. The conversation was so good. There was supposed to be a Q&A section in this also, but I didn't want to cut off our panelists today. But if anybody has any questions, I open it up to any questions that might need to be asked.
George,
So
there is a question in the Q&A from Giancarlo. What is usually the barrier to entry dollar-wise to get into building small residential?
That's you, Alex.
Excuse me. The question was, what is a dollar value to get into the residential building space in terms of like a small business startup?
What is usually the barrier to entry dollar-wise to get into building small residential?
I mean, if you're just a building, right? You're providing the service of a general contractor, or you're building, and let's say you take on maybe 60, 50, whatever % of your work on building a residence or residential. Sometimes I tell people, like, if you're going to go in and sell widgets, right, you're going to pound out a bunch of this and that, and you got machinery and you got a retail space, like, you probably have a good conservative number would be like $500,000 or $250,000 to $500,000. But I think if you're going to like work out of your home, and if you're going to look at a small business loan through some kind of program, whether it's SBA or through a local community credit union, bank, or whatever investment kind of organization you're speaking with, I think if I had to do it, if I was going to start over and start a residential building company, I'd probably need to think about, one, how many people am I going to have working underneath me, and what does my payroll look like, and what does my overhead costs look like? Probably around the couple $100,000 range, because you're going to have procurement of materials, plus you're going to have to open up accounts and have dollar values on, and you're going to have open material accounts. I mean, that might even be a little bit light. That would mean that you'd be working out, using your same pickup truck that you've had for 10 years or more, using the ladders that you got in your garage. I mean, if I had to reconsider a little bit and I was going to go out and start a company, I'd probably be looking to $250,000 to $500,000 to get going. And that would allow you working capital cash flow, right? So you would have a pile of money saved up in your piggy bank that could get you through the leaner times. Like, if we're going to open up in summertime, then we're going to know we're going to have a lull in site work in winter. At least we do in the Pacific Northwest. And there's always lean times in different markets. So, you always got to prepare for that, make money while you can, while the going's good. And I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit.
Yes, thank you for that, Alex. And thank you for everybody for participating. We're just a few minutes over time. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you for joining us. So from all of us here at the National Hispanic Construction Alliance and the Hispanic Wealth Project, we thank you for participating. Thank you and have a wonderful day.